This is the TUYA shocker, and boy, has it been. This is a Steve DUMCHUS design from SDK Knives. He's a custom knife maker. I actually do have one of his customs here right now that we have on sale on the NEEVEKNIFECO site. Awesome knife. He makes beautiful custom knives, but lately he's been working with some companies doing a few production knife designs, which is pretty awesome. Now, this is the shocker. Like I said, it has a beautiful deep hollow ground 20 CV blade with a DLC coating. And boy, is it gorgeous. I think DLC is the best looking coating, and it's obviously the best coating overall, and that's not even debatable. It's the best coating you can have on a knife. It's like between 80 and 98 HRC. That's crazy hardness. That's nuts. So, you know, it's like, it's the best for wear resistance and things like that. Now, the knife has a super deep hollow ground clip point blade, and this clip point blade has a tiny bit of trail to it. It curls up just a little bit, but not too much. It's just enough to look sick nasty, but be very useful. So the tip is not up too high. You can easily get to it, and with this deep hollow grind, it's very slicey. Titanium frame lock, titanium mill pocket clip and backspacer. Now, I'm refilming this video. We're gonna go through the action, and then I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. But the action, really good, man. This thing has a great reverse flick. The hole lands in a great spot. You can easily thumb or reverse flick it, and the detent is not too strong to where you can't slow roll it. Good ergonomics, good access to the lock bar, and I love how they added a little bit of texturing right there to the lock bar. It makes for very easy disengagement, and you can see it's super smooth. Now, the handle is PVD coated. I should have said that already. This is DLC, this is PVD coated. There's, I think, 4 different versions. There's a couple different versions. So there's a plain version, DLC, and then the PVD coated handle one. Now, it is riding on ceramic caged bearings, you know, for this extremely smooth action. Now, what happened? So, I was filming the first impressions, basically an unboxing, and it wasn't really an unboxing, it was a first impressions. I had already unboxed it. And I'm going to show you guys the clip, because I do have it recorded, obviously. I felt a little bit of lock rock at first, but I felt it when I was holding it like this. I did spine whack it a few times, and it didn't fail when I spine whacked it, but I only gave it a couple. Then I was holding the knife, and while holding the knife, I was putting pressure on the spine because I could hear it making noise. And then right now it has actually lock play, which we're going to talk about in a second. But when I would put pressure on the spine, you could hear it like making noise. And then it failed on me. It failed on me in my hand while I was putting pressure like this right onto my... The biggest complaint I have, and it's probably just mine, I want to be clear, it's probably just mine, but when I put pressure on... All right, here, I'll just... No lock failure. So I want to be clear, there's no lock failure, but I have lock rock. You can hear it. It's pretty significant. If I push pressure on the lock bar, it goes away, so I know it's just the lock bar. And I have felt it when I'm putting pressure on the spine. Oop, there it goes. Listen, I don't want it to close on me, so. But it's not failing, so I don't think it will. But when I put pressure on the spine, I can feel it. I can feel it. Oop, there it goes. Now, after that happened, I did make sure to say that it's not TUYA's fault. That was my fault. The lock slipping or failing is TUYA's fault, but not what happened to me, not it cutting me. That was completely my fault. I knew the knife had an issue, I 100% could have contacted TUYA, and I 1,000,000% know Dave would have replaced the knife. No questions asked. So that's not even an argument or a debate of who's at fault here. It's me. I'm the one who's at fault. I was checking the knife and I shouldn't have been the way I was, knowing that it had an issue. Now, if I didn't know, that'd be a different story, but I did. I did know. I didn't know it was gonna fail, but I knew it had potential because I had already said it. I don't want this to fail on me. Then bam, it did. So it's just my luck this week. I've had one hell of a week, guys. But anyways, the thing is, though, is that since then, now, instead of just having, because before it had lock rock, it didn't have lock play. Now, it actually has lock play. So the blade is rattling back and forth like this. And then also, when I checked it with a spine whack again, I noticed, depending on how it's locked up, will depend on if it fails or not. So if it's locked up really good, then it won't. But you know, that's just depends on how it's opened. And really, like, it doesn't really matter how it's opened, I should say. It just depends on if you're lucky or not, I should say. And when I spine whacked it and it didn't fail, I didn't think it would fail from me putting pressure on the spine. But that's why we do the spine whack test, to make sure. Because I could have done that same spine whack test and it could have failed, right? And then it would have shown me, hey, be careful, right? I just, you know, it just so happened that the time I checked it, it didn't fail, but the next time I checked it, it did. So anyways, but that's why we do that. And I just want to make that clear because, you know, a lot of people were saying, you know, like, what does a spine whack test do? What does that do? And I'm not saying to go and like brutally spine whack your knife, but it should be able to withstand a certain level of pressure on the spine that you're going to possibly apply with your thumb. So it has to be able to withstand that from some smacks. So checking that at least reassures you, or hopefully can reassure you, that it's not going to fail when you're holding. This is just my example. I don't believe, but I don't know, you know, I obviously haven't held a bunch of them, but I would doubt that there's a lot of them like this. Maybe not though, probably not. I have no idea, but just check it. That's all you gotta do. Check it and see. You know, I've never really had any failure issues ever with TUYA. TUYA's always been super solid. I've always been very happy with their lockup, lock face geometry, etc. So, you know, things happen. Things do happen, and it's just the name of the game. You know, eventually you're gonna catch one. And that's just, it doesn't, you know, it's nothing against any company really. You know, it's just knife making, right? Eventually you're going to run into one that does do that. And it's nothing against the company, nothing against the designer. It's just, it can happen, right? Things slip through the cracks. Now, if it's a reoccurring thing over and over and over, then you could say their quality control sucks. But like I said, I haven't seen it from TUYA. Now, all in all, I like the knife. I love this knife. I think this is a phenomenal knife. Gorgeous knife. This thing is aggressive looking. It's sick looking. It's super slicey. It's got DLC, which I absolutely love DLC. And you can see right now, you know, the difference between DLC and PVD because the handle's PVD. I love the look of DLC. And that deep satin, oh my goodness, that is such a gorgeous blade, man. Gorgeous, gorgeous blade. So I'm gonna go back through my negatives because one of the negatives was when it failed. Before that, I was saying that it had lock rock, and that was one of my complaints. I was saying that it had lock rock, but it didn't have lock failure, but then it failed. So my nitpicks now are: it fails from pressure on the spine. It had lock rock, now it has lock play. Other than that, the only things I can really nitpick is T6s. I wish companies would just throw them all away. Just get rid of your T6s so you never have to worry about using them ever again. Only use T8s and or larger. T10, T15s. I love that. Some people might not like hardware that big, but T8s are acceptable to everybody. So, and it just makes for much better hardware and more reliable hardware. Anyways, the next thing, Sharpening tool and plunge grind, while it's not bad, the plunge grind tapers from here to here, giving you only from there to sharpen off. So, being a DLC coated, I would hate to cut into the plunge grind with my stone when I'm sharpening, and the stone cut into there and making a smile right there. It just wouldn't look good with this beautiful DLC. So the way I'd rather see it is like the way they did the TUYA Voodoo. So if you look, and I'm not saying it has to be a big finger choil like this one. This is a big one. But this same thing shrunken down to this size. If you do that, then you have a good choil or a good plunge grind, because the end of the plunge grind right here, see how it starts here and it ends here, is far away from the edge. So every time when you sharpen and you remove steel, you have a lot of life before it ever hits the plunge grind. With this one, you got about 2, maybe 3 sharpenings if I lower back the edge angle. If I keep the same edge angle that they have on there, you know, maybe a couple more. But I want to have at least like 10 good sharpenings. You know, I want to be able to lower back my edge angle, put the edge angle I want on there, and if it possibly happened to chip at some point, I have steel to remove. So I don't have to worry about that. Now, there's nothing in the way of the plunge grind, you know, if you wanted to cut in your own choil or anything like that, but it's DLC, so, you know, you couldn't replace that part. All in all, this thing has a lot of great features. It is a great knife. I do like the knife a lot. What happened, but as far as just a knife goes, like I said, I think this thing has a damn good look to it. The jimping is the exact type of jimping I actually love. If you look, it's super sharp jimping. So like if you slide your finger, it's actually going to stop you. You're not just going to slip over it. So it's very, very grippy. And then they do the same jimping on the back spacer, which is, again, super aggressive in a good way. If you're going to have jimping, have it like this, because that is some good stuff right there. So when you are locked in, you know, your finger isn't going to just slip off. You know, not saying every knife needs jimping, but if you're going to have it, have the good stuff, right? Like I said, all in all, I like the knife a lot. You know, yeah, I got some nitpicks and then one huge negative. But, you know, hopefully that's not something that we see across the board. Hopefully that is only mine that it happened to, and hopefully I will be the only injured person in the community. And just so you guys know, Dave Warren is very easy to get a hold of. He is so easy to get a hold of. You never have to worry about anything wrong with one of their knives because you're guaranteed to get a hold of him. He's very easy to get a hold of. Awesome guy, and he's going to take care of it. So it's not like a company where it's very difficult to contact them, or you don't know how to contact them, or if you do, you're talking to a computer or a bot or something like that. That's not the case. You can easily get a hold of him if you ever have an issue, and that means a lot. That really, really means a lot. You know, if you're somebody who just buys one knife, it probably doesn't matter. But if you're somebody who buys knives, you know, you like to know that if you ever have an issue, you can get somebody on the phone, or you can get somebody on Instagram or email, and they'll actually talk to you, you know, and it's an actual human. Anyways, work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.